A perfectly memorized, textbook-accurate definition that scored exactly 0 marks in a real exam. No intro today, we are jumping straight in because this massive, grade-risking error is absolutely tanking scores for Cambridge AS-level IT students.
Confusing online processing with real-time processing might seem like a tiny slip-up, right? But this single error in data and information basics literally costs candidates marks and threatens grade boundaries before they even flip the first page of their paper. You might think you know what these words mean, but I promise you the examiner is hunting for something incredibly specific.
Section 1. The fatal exam mistake.
So, what exactly is happening here? It's literally the most frustrating feeling in the world. You open the paper, see a question on data and information basics, and think, I totally know this. And you do. Students frequently know the theory flawlessly. They can recite the textbook definition of data processing word for word. But then, they completely bomb the question because of one missing ingredient. The definitions are there, sure, but the application is entirely absent.
This perfectly highlights the examiner's biggest frustration. Listen to this direct quote from the source material. Students frequently know the theory but lose marks because they failed to anchor the explanation to the situation they have been given. That's the trap right there. Just listing undeveloped points or naming a concept out of nowhere gets you 0. If you define a technology without explaining its practical consequence for the user or the organization in that specific scenario, you are just leaving guaranteed marks on the table.
Section 2. Why ordinary revision fails.
The crazy thing is, the way you study might actually be sabotaging you. Ordinary revision treats terminology as these generic, disconnected definitions. Flipping flashcards to memorize a term in isolation. But the 9626 syllabus demands something entirely different. It requires a strict scenario-anchored approach. You have to explain the mechanisms, compare related ideas, and justify your choices using a specific scenario. If your revision doesn't answer what problem does this solve and which stage of processing is happening here, then your study method is fundamentally misaligned with the actual exam.
So the real danger is confusing nearby concepts. Think about validation versus verification, or direct versus indirect data, custom versus off-the-shelf software, or authentication versus encryption. These are classic AS-level IT errors, and this is exactly where dense notes without comparative thinking will completely fail you. If you just define validation on one page and verification on another, without comparing how they actually differ in a real-world system, you are going to stumble hard when the exam asks you to choose between them for a secure website.
Section 3. The high mark answer framework.
To stop bleeding marks, we need a disciplined path. We're replacing standard memorization with a structured answering system. This 5-step framework mirrors exactly how you earn marks in extended responses when comparing methods or justifying answers. Point, evidence, explanation, link, and judgment. State your technique, provide evidence from the scenario, explain the clear sequence of how it works, link it directly back to the problem, and finally make a judgment on why it's the right choice. This literally forces you out of those generic textbook answers and directly into scenario reasoning.
To hardwire this into your brain, use these 4 basic prompts for literally any data concept. 1. What is it? 2. How does it work? 3. Where is it used? And 4. Why is it better or worse than an alternative? If you can answer those 4 prompts out loud for, say, real-time processing, you have built a rock-solid memory structure. You aren't just reciting anymore, you are analyzing. You are genuinely ready for the exam. Now, in a moment, I'll show you the ultimate examiner clue that changes your answer completely. But first, you need to see this framework applied in a real situation, so that clue becomes totally obvious. We have the structure, now let's see it in action.
Section 4. Flawed versus top-band answers.
Knowing the theory is one thing, but seeing the execution makes all the difference. When you compare a flawed answer with a top-band answer, it becomes super obvious. The flawed answer uses vague wording. It lists undeveloped techniques, or maybe it describes a technology that just sounds kind of related. It earns very few marks. But the top-band improved answer? It does everything we just talked about. It explains how the process works in a clear sequence, and critically, it's connected directly to a payroll scenario. It doesn't just say data is processed. It says the timesheet data is processed in a batch to calculate weekly wages. Do you see the difference there? Specificity wins every single time.
I absolutely cannot stress this enough. Generic points rarely gain full marks. If the context given to you is a secure website, or a spreadsheet task, or a monitoring system, your answer must stay strictly within that context. Sure, the same data transfer patterns exist in hospitals, transport systems, and banks, but you have to tailor your explanation to the exact environment the examiner has handed you.
Section 5, Examiner Checkpoint Challenge.
All right, let's put you in the examiner's seat for a quick interactive challenge. Take a second to mentally predict the exact demand here. If an exam question presents a multimedia workflow scenario, what is it actually testing? Is it asking for a process explanation, algorithmic logic, or scenario-based judgment? Pause and really think about it. Usually, it's asking you to classify the relevant data and hardware and evaluate why a specific processing method is optimal for massive media files.
Once you correctly diagnose the demand using this specific checklist, identify the exact requirement, classify the data or hardware, explain the sequence, and connect to the scenario, you are so much less likely to just write down everything you know without direction. This checklist is your rapid method review. Before you submit any answer, run it through this list. If you haven't connected it back to the scenario, you are simply not done writing.
Section 6, the hidden cause cliffhanger.
Okay, so we've built an incredible memory structure today, and you know exactly how to anchor your theory to a scenario. But there is still one unresolved problem lingering in your exam strategy that can completely undo all of this hard work. Even with the perfect framework and flawless scenario context, you will still lose marks, sometimes missing the mark band entirely, if you misinterpret the specific command words that actually dictate how the examiners grade your paper. Knowing the difference between describe, explain, analyze, and evaluate is the hidden cause of dropped grades.
To truly excel in your Cambridge examinations, you have to look beyond the textbook definitions and understand the psychology of the exam itself. It takes a complete mental shift to stop listing facts and start delivering tailored solutions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations.
Understanding those specific command words is the final mandatory key to securing your grade. The exact command words you need to know are revealed in the very next explainer popping up for you right now. You absolutely need this to lock in your final grade. So click that immediately and let's get it sorted.